Hey y'all, and welcome to Geospatial Experiences. I'm your host, Melissa Mayo, and I'm an Esri engineer on the product team. This podcast focuses on the application of geographic information. Let's go on a journey together with some of my amazing coworkers, along with Esri customers, partners, and distributors who are doing really cool work in the field of GIS. Hi everyone, today we're here with Jess Altamira. She's a senior solution engineer on the Geoexperience team. Hey Jess!
How's it going?
It's going great. Thanks so much for joining me today. I appreciate you coming on the podcast with me.
Oh, anytime. I'll walk across campus to come see you guys.
I'm so excited to have you on here. So we're going to chat through today, and we really want to talk about quite a few things with you, but we're going to start today with just, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your interest and kind of your experience in GIS up to this point?
Yeah, that sounds like a great place to start. My journey with GIS actually started because I missed a class in college and went to a makeup class in the evening.
I love that.
So it was the one time missing my alarm clock actually benefited me in the long run. What the difference was between the morning and evening class was there was a guest speaker in the evening who came to talk about GIS and Esri, and they worked with the Rutgers University staff to set that up. So had I gone to the morning one, I would have completely missed this. The really neat thing about how they described GIS in the evening class was they didn't actually show any software. They just spoke about the concepts, and that alone got me hooked because it was almost like I could visualize seeing these digital maps and doing this analysis and taking it with me on my computer and going to, and whomever, and sharing it. And this was back in 2009, 2010, so it was like still on the ArcMap versions. Mm-hmm. So I thought it was a pretty neat thing to study, and I was a landscape architect. I took on the GIS certificate and then decided to apply to grad school at the University of Redlands, and moved from New Jersey, came to California, and never looked back. So
that's awesome. I love that.
And the great thing about the U of R was their network and ability to really integrate the graduate program with Esri. So being able to attend the conferences, being able to work with Esri staff, who are actually a lot of our professors, it really opened up the doors to learn about the technology, but also learn about the real world applications. Then, after graduate school, I thought it would be kind of neat to actually be a user for a bit. And there was a really great opportunity next door in Los Angeles for SoCal Gas. I had no utility background, and that wasn't the first thing I thought I'd be doing after school. But, big city, new city, great opportunity. I joined the team on their GIS applications team and worked a lot with ArcGIS Online and Portal, which was what I studied in grad school. And it was a really nice opportunity because although it was a beginner opportunity, the gas company goes through things that you don't think about unless you're in there working with the people. They deal with natural disasters. Southern California had all these fires, floods, mudslides even, and there were GIS applications through that thick and thin. There were GIS applications for even things like knowing what restaurants were connected to gas lines and knowing where they were. We called it the cafeteria app, where to get lunch in downtown LA. And even larger scale things like when we had the Thomas fire, the GIS team worked with their emergency response team for more than a month. So it really showed collaboration around technology, and I thought that was so neat. And so I was there for a couple years, and then I got to work a lot with Esri staff during my time, and there was an opportunity on the Esri utilities team. And so I jumped on a call with a lot of the utility folks you might have worked with, Patrick Deemer, Jeff Rashid, Kevin Kirk, and went through my interviews with them, and it seemed to be a great fit. And long and behold, I moved to Denver, and on my first day, I was asked to give a presentation to a customer on my second day.
Trial by fire.
Oh yeah, they really had they had some faith, and it was great, and I learned a lot being on that team. And throughout the years, one challenge with the utilities is not just being able to apply the technology to their business cases, but tell a compelling story. Talking about pipes and lines may not be, the lights and glory that people look for, but it's really all about safety and critical communication. And that, to me, was something that, I really wanted to stress in every story I told. But everyone on my team did the same thing. And, we learned from each other, we grew together. And as time went on, I did more presentations, and that led me to working with Esri's Geoexperience team much more. The Geoexperience team here at Esri on the Redlands campus does many things, and to kind of summarize it, they have a team for executive briefing, visits, and experiences. So when customers come on site or VPs come, we like to create some sort of agenda and experience for them to understand the technology and see the grounds. Another thing that they have the APL team, so they work a lot with new innovative technology, testing out some of the latest things that come out alongside GIS, and kind of pushing the limit to see, how we can integrate with other technology. Then we have our technical enablement team. If you're on the GBD team, you probably use a lot of the technical enablement resources, like the Engage page, where you can see demonstrations and sales content from many different product teams, but also past conferences. And then we have somewhat of an Esri Events team. When you go to a conference and you see the plenary, that is a whole team that puts that together. The lights, the sound, the contractors, what people wear. There's thought that goes into every single part of that. So I'm on that team now, and I am still representing the utilities in a way, but I am also being challenged to learn a lot more technology and work with different industries, and that's what I love about it. You think you may have cornered the expertise in one part of Esri, but you have a small room in a giant hotel to explore, and it's something great that you can learn every day. So that's where the GIS journey has brought me here, to Building M with you guys today, to share that.
One thing I've always loved about you, Jess, and I've known you for a while, even before I came to Esri, and as I've gotten to know you more and get to know you better since I've been working here, you just are really focused in on the story, and you want to make sure there's a good story told and that it's useful to people, that it carries a topic that moves through and can be beneficial to the users, to the customers, to anybody that's watching you or hearing your story, hearing what you're talking about. So that's always impressed me, is kind of how you take them on that journey, and the focus that you have about it. You always try to make sure that you're, that you're doing something that's going to be helpful in the end for someone. So that's one thing I've always loved about watching you on stage, listening to you, talking with you. You just have a really impressive attention to detail on that, and a really, a very specific focus on making sure people are taken care of. So that's always, like, from the background of me being a customer before coming to Esri, we very much appreciate that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, no, it's a great team effort to put the stories and presentations together. And although one person might be the face of it, there's always a team of, say, 50 behind that. But yeah, thank you for your nice comments.
Yeah, for sure. So what's it like for you working at Esri? You've moved through different areas, and now you're in the Geoexperience Center. You're really, becoming well known. If you don't recognize Jess's voice, she's definitely a celebrity. When we go to conferences and things like that, she's definitely one of those people that you see on stage regularly, doing a great job, presenting and everything. But what's it like working here for you? What's it like, doing the Geoexperience work? You get to work with really interesting customers too. You get to work with people who have really interesting stories to tell.
Yeah, I've only been I joined the Geoexperience team April 2023, and it's been slightly less than a year now. So far, I would say, especially in the beginning, every day was different, because every person is different, and they want to know different things when they come through that door, and we have to be very fluid and adjust to what they're interested in. although we might have some sort of agenda and list of demonstrations to show, if they decide, hey, actually, I have an interest in here, we have to be able to flip it and show something that they can walk away with and say, I actually learned something that I came here to learn or didn't expect to learn, and I'm going to bring it back to my organization. So that's the ideal impact that our team would like to have, and those are the types of conversations that happen. We entertain a lot of different types of people and groups. Our team has supported visits for university students, UCSB, UCR, University of Redlands. We even had some people come from UCLA. So in the academia world, it's always really nice to see that the young people are taking GIS seriously on Friday afternoons and visiting campus and learning. And we've also had many customers come from, say, the county, the state, not just in California, but we have people come from all over the U.S. We have industries from commercial to defense and military. One of my first visits when I was here was for the Marines, and it was like a 3-day marathon to give them presentations because there are, I think, 200 or 300 of them, and so we took them in small groups. Although we showed the same demos, the questions were different each time.
They're applying it differently as they're
Yes.
seeing it. They're thinking about it differently from their own angles and their own perspectives.
And even though some of the demonstrations we might show might be, say, for utilities, we try and inspire people to imagine what it would be like to apply to their industry if they're state and local government, if they're retail, if they're in real estate, or if it's something along the lines of missiles. That's what the Marines were trying to envision. So for the most part, we like to inspire. We also like to satisfy any curiosities about the technology. But the Geoexperience Center, we are not all-knowing, so what we do is we collaborate with subject matter experts throughout Esri. We bring in the product teams, we bring in the industry teams, we bring in the sales teams, professional services. And so we don't work alone. We're mainly there to kind of give a high-level idea of the technology and then hopefully open the door for more detailed conversations with the people who can answer the nitty-gritty details. So what it's like is meeting all these different people, working with all these different people, working with a bunch of different technology. Some of the products I use and have presented are things that I haven't in the past, even though I've been at Esri for 4 or 5 years now. So it's great. It's always an opportunity to learn and grow. And we also learn from the people that come through. What are some ways we can improve the experience for people visiting campus? What are some things you'd like to see? What are some trends in the industry? So it's both a give and take at the Geoexperience Center, and we're always trying to better the experience for anyone coming to campus. And it's also not just for customers. For people who work at Esri, whether you're an intern, whether you're an SE, whether you're on the events team, we have our doors open to anybody to come and actually play with the technology or speak to us, or if they want, if we can connect them with someone that might know an answer. So it is open to everybody on campus, at Esri. For any visiting customers, we've had people even bring in their families. So it is a really neat place. It's a bit of like a GIS museum, if you will, where you can really get hands-on with the technology. We've got some drones, some VR goggles, and everything there is touchscreen, so who doesn't like to do that? So yeah, for anyone listening, I highly encourage you all to come visit the Geoexperience Center and check it out, and come find me or anyone who might be around, and we'll give you a tour.
I was about to ask if someone's on campus and they wanted to come through and see you guys, or if they know they're coming, if someone's here working on campus, do they just stop by, or do they kind of reach out? Is there a good way to touch base? We can put contact notes if there's something that we can provide for them in the notes for this, but how would they go about lining up a visit?
I mean, there are many ways, right? If you see, if you'd like to, you can ping our team or you can send us an email. You can either email myself or our coordinator, Ian Nicholas, just to double check to see if there are any tours going on, because when there are customers, we do prioritize them. But for the most part, if no one's in there, feel free to come in and swipe your badge, and someone will come out and make sure you're taken care of and give you a tour of the grounds. But yeah, it is open. It's not open 24/7, so please don't go in the middle of the night. Yeah, I mean, normal hours, 8 to 5, we're typically there because we never know when a customer might unexpectedly drop by, like Governor Newsom came at 4:30 with a 20-minute notice.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So you never really know who will be there. But if you have any customers that would like to come on campus and you think the Geoexperience Center would be beneficial to their visit, we also very much like to arrange time to set aside for them and resources so that customers get the most out of their time here. Even if that's international visits, we have people that came from Japan, Thailand, Korea, New Zealand, even down from Australia. I think most recently we had some people from Nigeria. So we will accommodate to their needs, and even if they speak a different language. Sometimes in our demonstrations we'll try to throw a little something in there if someone knows a couple of words. Just to really make them feel comfortable in the space to learn and to ask questions. And so that's our goal for not just them, but anyone else at Esri.
That's incredible. You guys put so much work and effort into making people feel comfortable when they come in. So I definitely encourage anyone, like you said, who's listening, if you're on campus, to try to coordinate that. The Geoexperience Center it's definitely an experience, but it's amazing. It's incredible the things that you guys have available in there just to walk through. So definitely take time to do that if you're here on campus. So okay, let's go back to chatting about the stage and being a presenter for the plenary. I mean, you present at some of our biggest conferences. You're showing up at MGIS. You're showing up at the UC. You're on stage for these big conferences where the whole world's coming to see and hear what does Esri have for them for the next for the next coming year. So what is it like to be on stage? What's it like to prep for stage? I know getting ready for the UC is a months-long endeavor. I know getting ready for any of these conferences is several months involved, but I know the UC in particular is huge. But what's it like for you? What's it like to kind of take that task on and take the ownership of it and run through that process and go? Because you do such a good job. It looks like when you get up there that, I mean, you're a total natural. People love to hear your presentations and watch you take them. You take them on a journey. You really do when you put your story together. So what's that like?
Yeah, so the best way to kind of approach, what it's like to present on stage, I feel sometimes you have to go back and think about how you speak to someone or present, even at, just a one-to-one level. You think, if you think about your very first presentation, let's say, whether it was in front of a classroom, whether it was to your parents to buy you a new phone, whatever it was, you have a method where you have a problem or something that you're trying to overcome. You need to put in some inspiration. You might need to put in some props and some method to deliver this, and then your speech. And you have a goal of having that person walk away either being persuaded, inspired to do something that could benefit them. But if you're talking to your parents, it might benefit you. Mm-hmm. So if you have some of those basic ingredients for a presentation, whether it's to a single person, whether it's to your classroom, whether to it's thousands, 30,000 people at the UC, those are the core things to always think about and remember. And there is a process. Our team and my boss, John Calkins, they like to practice this thing called the hero's journey. And it is a great guideline, and it's a way that a lot of writers in Hollywood go about, writing some of the greatest stories, trilogies out there. Whether you're a Star Wars fan, Lord of the Rings, those are some really good examples of big level hero journey applications. So the process, you can't go through it alone, right? If you think about going on, like you said, going on a journey, you might need some people to support you from, left and right, give you feedback. Being able to accept feedback about your presentation is key. The fact that your first iteration of the presentation is never going to be your final one is something you need to accept from the very beginning. It's never perfect right off the bat. It never will be. Because there's always something more to add. There's a perspective there that you can't see. So being very open to feedback, being very open to new ideas, as well as being able to harness the Esri message that you would want people to walk away with so that they can see something that's great to then apply to their organization is the thing that we will always like to do for each presentation on stage, no matter if it's what's new in ArcGIS Online or the utility network story that we recently did with the Navajo people at IMGIS, or if it's something along the lines of big data analytics. We have to treat each story the same in terms of the process, the feedback, and the reviews that go through leadership. So it is quite a hefty process. But the big thing, no matter if it's you on stage or your teammate, although you might be the face of the presentation, the biggest thing you want is for the people in the crowd to learn something. You're successful in that way, I would say, more than having a professional photo of yourself taken. And so that's kind of how you can measure, whether or not someone actually listened to your story and your presentation, is that they understood something that can now benefit them. So being on stage, apart from that, I still get the nerves. It is quite a lot. If I am a little bit more realistic about the process, you have to be able to click, speak, and not throw up. And there's a great team that supports you behind that, from attire to the tech to how you move your hands. We even have a theater coach for some of the larger conferences. Like I said, although there's one person or two people up there, there is an army behind that person. Pretty much kind of like, as Jack is the CEO, but there are all these people behind him. But on top of that, there are also customers that drive a lot of these inspirations and where the technology is going. So we don't, some of the ideas and things you see on stage, although it's something that, Esri might be delivering, it actually comes from many different angles as to why we're putting it out there. It's because people either care about it, ask for it, or want to see some growth in it in the future. And it's always really rewarding to meet people that you would have never worked with before and be able to work on something so massive. An interesting perspective I've heard throughout Esri is that you peak when you go on stage. That's like the ultimate thing a solution engineer, project engineer can do. I don't think that's correct. I actually think it's a highlight, but it actually teaches you how to then be much more conscious about how you even have those smaller conversations, how you prepare for things, how you create your checklist of things that you want people to walk away with. And it actually teaches you also just how to be a little bit more humble about presentations, because you go through a rigorous feedback process saying, this is boring, your map looks like diarrhea. I've gotten that before. You just have to accept that, it means that we can always make this better.
Just don't take it too personally.
Yeah, don't take it too personally. Maps can, maps can be this amazing tool to connect everybody. And what I really love about the plenary process is that, sometimes in that moment you have that single voice talking about things, but you have thousands of minds thinking at the same time. So like that to me, I think is the pretty neat thing about plenary, is that you can share something really meaningful to people. And then you see Jack talks about some of the coolest things that people do. some of the demos we build here are inspired very much by customers. And so it's this amazing symbiosis of the technology and people that keep GIS going. And those are kind of the inspirational things that we have at the Plenary, and that's what I honestly love about it. But regardless if it's me on stage or not, I also love working with my peers to help them tell an amazing story. So, once the oldies are put out to pasture in the next, couple months or years, the next generation comes in, I hope that's something that people remember as they go through the process, whether it's, this year or in 10 years. For anyone listening, that's a pretty neat thing to go through. So if you ever have the opportunity to go on stage, put your hand up, volunteer, get excited, get the people in the crowd excited, and I'd love to see some new faces up there.
That's a really good segue into my next question is what can customers, and really even anybody listening, not just the customers, but other employees at Esri, anyone who's interested in potentially bringing, a topic or a presentation or something that might be considered stage-worthy, what can they do to better prepare for that opportunity? What can they do to prepare and get ready and bring something to showcase that would be considered?
Yeah, so
for stage. Mm-hmm.
A lot of these stories on stage, especially from customers, are projects or applications or workflows that have really benefited their operations, that have saved them money. It made a difference in their organization at some level. Whether or not you're a tiny organization, a national scale organization, or even international, impact is impact is impact no matter what the scale is. So we look for those customers that have either achieved that or on the road to achieving that, and it would be something that others would be able to learn from. And that it doesn't matter what industry you come from, there's always something you can learn from. And so when it comes to customers, if you have a workflow or a story or something really neat that you think anyone should hear, and you're not afraid to speak on stage, and you don't have July 4th plans, then talk to your account manager, talk to your Esri team. We always love having people who want to be up there, and whether or not it's just you or a team, we accommodate that. We even had a whole school come from, I think it was Ireland, a bunch of kids.
They were amazing.
Yeah.
They were so impressive.
Years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You don't have to be this amazing speaker, and we can also work with you to help you practice that. And that's something really neat that, you can get out of the experience. And it's even more interesting, when we have our international folks come in. A couple years ago, I worked with Shannon from Energy Queensland, and I thought I would have to, do everything in Australian. We did say the word crikey on stage, and I practiced because I wanted to support my buddy next to me. But the great thing about his personality and his view on the process was he wanted to represent his organization as best he could. He wanted to tell their story, what happens down under and some of the craziest natural disaster cases. He wanted people to experience what they experience. And that is the cool thing about being a customer and being up there is, you guys know exactly what goes on in the field, and you have experienced that firsthand, and we want to go on that experience and journey with you. But only you can tell your story. Esri cannot tell your story. Only you can.
So one thing that you mentioned that I really have been thinking a little bit more about is inviting people that if they are interested in doing something, to take that initiative. That's one thing I've noticed, especially as I've been meeting more and more people. It just seems like there's not a lot of encouragement or coaching or really building people up to to step out and take the initiative to let people know they're interested in doing something, to take that ownership, take that drive, say, I'm interested in doing this thing. I really have a vision. I really have something that I want to do and want to work through and want to be exposed in this way. I really want to help people by doing this thing. I just haven't seen a lot of encouragement for people to do that. And so I think that's really important and interesting that you mentioned reaching out for being able to participate with the GeoXC, because if someone's interested in doing that, having that motivation and that drive is huge, is critical. But taking the initiative to tell somebody you're interested, because people can't read other people's minds. People don't know that that's something you want to do. And the GeoXC doesn't necessarily know that you're out there wanting to play and wanting to participate in their arena. So if you are interested in this, do this, take the initiative, have the motivation to reach out and talk to someone and let them know you want to do this thing. That could be the next thing that helps propel your career. It could be the next thing that gets you to meet someone interesting. It could be the next step to the rest of your career and a huge future here at Esri, just by meeting someone interesting at the GeoXC. So I just wanted to kind of follow up on that and make that point, because I think it's so important that we have to sometimes take that initiative to move forward ourselves and not wait on someone else to invite us to do a thing. If we're interested, let's step up and move forward to do the thing we're interested in doing, and take that onus on ourselves to really be motivated and inspired, and to be able to share that with others through a GeoXC experience would be amazing. It would be an incredible opportunity.
So for customers, reach out, put your hand up, tell your account manager, I'd love to share my story. And if it's not this year, keep coming back. We'd like to hear, from you. And then when it comes to Esri staff, sometimes depending on the different conferences, it's not just UC. If it's your industry's conference, whether it's the infrastructure, the Fed, URGIS, or even some of the smaller conferences, volunteering as tribute is always helpful. So very much the same thing. If you have the desire to challenge yourself, to inspire other people, and if you have expertise with some of the technology that might be trending, sometimes when the stars line up, then you might not even have to volunteer. You might just get voluntold is a word we like to use. But there's always opportunity, and the way that people have this desire to speak on stage, I think you should have that same desire to speak to customers and presentations that you have every day. If you have that motivation and drive, then that will really show when you are in front of people. But yeah, career growth, speak to your leaders, come speak to the Geoexperience team. Our team, I would say, is very much involved in the plenary process, and sometimes on who goes up there. So, we would rather hear straight from you if that's your passion. So yeah, there's always opportunity at Esri, and we would love to see some new faces up there.
You're so focused on the customer experience and really what the customers and the listeners, whoever the listener is, can get out of it. And you and I have chatted in the past too. You've been focused on, getting on stage is not about the you in the moment. It's not about promoting yourself or promoting you and your capabilities. It's really about getting that message out, and that's where the drive and the focus should live, and not with promoting our own how do I say this? Promoting our own selves, promoting ourselves
Yeah.
to get up there. Really having that drive, because if your focus is the messaging and helping people and making sure they have a better experience, then the rest of it will kind of come along with it, versus, and the experience will be better, versus, well, I need to check this box for my career, or I need to check this box off on my list of things I want to do in life, really, if you get behind it for the right reasons, the whole experience is better, the end result's better, you get out of it, other people get out of it. To me, it seems like going through that process would be a great way for people to get, experience and an opportunity to move through a really, really interesting process, like you've said, to get experience with public speaking, have trained professionals who are there to help hone in on that and help, I don't want to say correct, but help, just build those skills and help make those skills better for you. Go through the environment of getting some potentially harsh, feedback and criticisms, and maybe harsh isn't the right word, but just very direct.
Yes.
Very direct criticisms. No one's out to be mean. No one's out to to hurt anybody's feelings. But it's just very straightforward and to the point. Like, this needs to be better, because we all can grow. Like you said, we all can do better. Every map we make can be a little bit better, and it's really getting those other perspectives in the mix. It just seems like such a cool way of moving that process if you do it the right way, with your mind open, and accepting the feedback, and going and making adjustments and coming back and just not taking it too personally. That just seems like such an amazing opportunity for anyone who's interested in really getting the most out of it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. As long as you remember that the motivation is for the good of the people who are there to learn something, I think that can push you through, some of the, like you were mentioning, some of the fire that you'll be going through. It is a challenge, but it's nothing easy, nothing great is ever easy, and it is a really great opportunity, not just for you, but for the people to be able to learn, what you have in store for them with the demonstrations. So yeah, I hope that kind of describes a little bit about the process.
Yeah, you did great. What do you have for us? I've moved through the questions. Has there been anything that's come up that you want to elaborate more? Is there anything that you want to chat about a little bit more while we're here before we wrap up? Has anything come to mind while we've been talking?
I would say, this podcast series, it sounds like a really great opportunity for people to start to get to know some of the faces and names at Esri. One thing that, I think this is a great tool to start that. And since we're slowly coming back to the office and being able to see each other in person, me and even my team have been trying to find ways to encourage collaboration and encourage networking a little bit more, so that people know who's on the bench of Esri. They know who they can go to. I think especially for new people, that can be pretty tough. But even for people who have been here for a while, there might be something a new person could share with them. And so I would love to see how, maybe we could utilize the podcast to maybe encourage people to kind of get together a little bit more, or, how to do more group sessions maybe on podcasts. It'd be pretty neat, to kind of hear from some of the interns.
Oh yeah,
as they go along.
That'd be neat. Maybe we need a mini series or
something.
Yeah,
like a mini series. There are some people out there who post really awesome stuff on LinkedIn. John Nelson loves to post a lot of great mapping tricks. And so it'd be kind of a neat way to start your day with a podcast. So I'd like to see this be something that people do when they check their email.
That'd be great. I hope it takes off. I hope people really, really get into it and really love it. So, if you think of any ideas, if you think of any topics or any guests or anything along those lines, Jess, feel free to share. And anybody listening, we've said before, just to post comments and let us know what you want to hear about and who you want to hear it from.
Yeah, absolutely. If I have any more ideas, I'll definitely shoot it your way.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I really, really appreciate it. I love chatting with you. I love hanging out with you. I think you're one of the coolest people ever.
Man, you haven't met many people.
No, absolutely not. You are one of the coolest people ever. But you've done such a good job moving through these topics today, and I appreciate you. And I'm going to be looking for opportunities to have you back on in the future.
Yeah, I'd love to. And if you ever need to utilize the Geoexperience Center, our doors are always open.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Cool.
This was so good, y'all. I think the world of Jess. She has a focus and drive that few can match. She tells amazing stories on stage and does it so well today, too, during our conversation. I have always enjoyed chatting with her, and I knew she would have an interesting story for us. I thought our discussion was great because, she took us behind the scenes for conference preparation and gave us a glimpse of what getting ready for a large conference is like for her. Our coverage of the Geoexperience Center was also super interesting because it's not widely known about as a resource even here at Esri. I very much hope you enjoyed this fun and entertaining episode with Jess Altamira. Please be sure to come back next week for a new episode and a new conversation on geospatial experiences. That wraps up today's episode. Please feel free to reach out with your comments, or if you have an interesting topic that you would like to hear, please let us know. Thanks again for your time, and tune in for our next podcast.